Oh, well, good morning, friends, and thanks for dropping by and saying hi. I just made myself a cup of coffee. We are going to sit down and turn on the monitor, and then, oh, there we go. Isn't that nice? And then we are going to be able to keep up with the chat. Let's see what this looks like from here. But I think this is a great view and a great start for a conversation starter. For those of you who are dropping by, thanks for dropping by. My name is Toby. I am 41 years old. I train to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life at 6:34 a.m. We have a cup of coffee. We have sunrise and sunshine today after 3 or 4 days of gloom and rain here in the mountains. And we're just going to talk about life and how this is a commitment for a long time, not something that we do for a month, not something that we do for a week, not something that we do for 3 months, but that staying fit and healthy is something that we might want to be committed to for a lifetime, because it's going to pay back dividends that we maybe are not aware of as yet when we start off on this journey. But like I said, I'm 41 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life, which includes going for 3, 4, 5-hour walks through the mountains, about 2.5 hours uphill, and the rest back downhill. Gotta go back to where you started, and sometimes carrying family members on my back, which are little children and infants, sometimes just going it alone. I try to stay fit and healthy by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours in a night. I try to stay fit and healthy by eating well. I try to eat healthy, well, within my energy balance, which is around 2,200 calories. I try to eat a lot of greens, lots of vegetables. On days that I train with weights, I eat a little bit more protein to make sure that I'm supporting those muscle building, strength building goals. I show up for training, kettlebell training 3 times a week. Hercules balls. Looks cool, right? Looks pretty neat. It is actually, let's see, there is the live chat. Where am I at? It is actually these are the Austrian Alps, and it's absolutely amazing to be here and have been here to recharge the battery for the rest of the year and what's going to come. I do that by trying to connect with people I love and care about, and generally doing things that I enjoy. I'm always trying to learn something new, master something, in order to keep my mind and body engaged with my learning and my life. So hey, if that's anything you're interested in, you go ahead, hit like, subscribe, and we can continue this conversation about health and fitness in a very personal way, because I show up every day almost on stream, every morning for me, somewhere between 5 and 5:30 a.m. my time, for a workout and chat about health and fitness, and just in order to be consistent and have somebody maybe to talk to about where you're at on your journey or how you can start on your journey, you're more than welcome to join me. So just hit like and subscribe, and we can continue the conversation. Mia, thanks for dropping by, for saying hi. I hope you're doing well where you are in the world. As for you, Hercules and Hunter, thanks for dropping by and saying hello. So, today we're going to talk about taking it day by day and just looking at what that can do for health and fitness. But let's start by framing this conversation, all right? Because I think the framing is relatively important. Well, then you're a couple of 100 kilometers that direction. No, I appreciate you dropping by and saying hi and listening in, regardless. And I appreciate the support on the chat. So, to frame this conversation properly, right? I'm 41 years old, I'm a man, and I come from a country where half the adults are overweight. More than half of the adults are overweight. I come from a country where kids claim to move more than once a week, but only 30% of kids claim to move more than once a week. And by that, they probably mean activity, training, sports, physical activity. So more than once a week, that they have the opportunity to do something like that. Whereas we know that movement and health are very closely related. I come from a place where 1.1 million people suffer from diabetes, and it's expected that for people over 45, which is the age bracket that I am approaching, right, 1/3 by 2030, 1/3 is going to suffer from diabetes type 2. And then you get into this whole spectrum of, increased risk factors. Let's call it what it is, for a whole slew of diseases, because we're overweight, we're not eating enough, we're not sleeping enough, we're not moving enough. Our entire lifestyle is not geared towards keeping us fit and healthy. You take all of that and you couple that to a lifespan that has increased to around 80, at least 70, but in some cases 80, and if you're lucky, maybe 90s. You get a lot of extra years, but you're going to be spending a lot of those extra years suffering on medication, experiencing discomfort and disease, and not actually being able to do the things that you want to do, given the opportunity you have in life. So I made a very clear decision for myself that, as a person who has that opportunity to live another 40 years in good health, as a father of two children who I would like to see grow up happy, healthy, and active in this world that we have today, is that I would like to stay as fit and as healthy as I possibly can, and that I would like to set a good example and be a good role model for them in the life that they are going to have. So if that resonates with you, if that makes any sense to you, where you are on your journey or where you're starting out from, then hit like, subscribe, and we can continue the conversation here, or we can continue the conversation underneath any of my shorts or under any of the other streams that I do. This is Rocks. Why am I screaming? I hope I'm not screaming, but maybe turn down the volume on your computer. And Lucas has no work and lives off his could be, but I do doubt that, though. But thanks for dropping by, and I wish you both well. I hope you're doing well where you're at in the world, and I hope that the day brings you good things, regardless of where you are in the world. And Rosa Malinowski, right back at you. I hope you're doing all right. I hope life is treating you well. So putting things in that context, right? Thinking about where we're at, and what that means for the decisions we make about our health and fitness in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on. Now, I can't speak too much to my 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, my 50s and 60s, because I haven't reached those decades yet. But I know where I started off in my 30s, where I came from in my teens and 20s, and where I'm at right now in my 40s. And here's something just to keep in mind, right? Decline or deterioration is what we're fighting continuously after we're 30. What that means is that after we're 30, our cardiovascular system, our bone density, our muscle mass all begin to decline, our mobility, our range of motion. It simply is the case that as we're grow older, we don't stay as strong, as fit, as healthy, as capable as we were in our teens and 20s, especially going into our early 20s and late 20s and maybe early 30s, where physically there's kind of like this peak of ability. She does help me pick my clothes, by the way, my wife, and it's important to accept that fact as you get into your 30s, is that what you lose is hard to regain, and the longer you wait to improve your health and fitness after 30, after 35, the harder it is going to be to stay fit and healthy into your 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? Because it's easier to build something up at a younger age and maintain it over time than to try to regain stuff that has really been lost over decades of neglect of our physical health. It's Uncle Jesse. Is that a Full House? Is that a Full House reference? I'd be curious. I used to watch that as a kid, but I haven't watched that in a long time. But that was a great show. Or is that a different show that we're talking about? And Joshua Anderson, thanks for dropping by and saying hi. I hope you're doing well where you're at in the world. So, just understanding those things about your health and fitness journey after you hit 30 is probably going to is probably going to be a key part of laying that foundation in your mind for what the future is going to bring. So I hit 31, 32, and I was 25 kilos overweight, give or take. I weighed 101 kilos. I had not exercised, I think, properly and regularly in 4 or 5 years. I had a good job. I was making good money. I was eating a lot of snacks, living life, partying a lot, and I had simply become content, maybe in ways, but was physically so unhealthy that the first time I went to a gym, and I immediately joined a private gym with private trainers who really, taught me a lot about what health and fitness is, and later I did some certifications in personal training and lifestyle coaching myself. But I was so out of shape that I worked out, and I couldn't even sit on the Aerodyne for 5 seconds and pedal. My muscles were so sore after lifting what I would now consider to be, grocery bags, basically, that it blew my mind how out of shape I was compared to how fit I thought I was as a person. And that was the beginning of an incredible journey before COVID and before we got married. I was in great shape by the time we got married 3 years later. I lost all that weight and then some, and then gained some back because I went all the way down to 78 kilos. So I think I lost like 32, 33 kilos or something, God knows what. No, sorry, 20, 25 kilos. Don't exaggerate, 25 kilos, give or take. And then I put some weight back on because I am okay around 82 to 85 kilos, give or take, is where I feel good. If I start to get heavier, I start to feel a bit sluggish. And going below that never feels quite right for me, but that's what I figured out over 10 years. Give or take 10 years of pursuing health and fitness in different ways, weight loss, muscle building, the way I look. You need to have great beach pictures for the holiday, for the wedding, and for the honeymoon after, things like that. To now actually being focused on just being fit and healthy for the 40 years that I have ahead of me. So I've been all over, that spectrum, and packed all of that experience into a course, into physical training, functional physical training for health and fitness, and lifestyle coaching for health and fitness. Last year, on top of all of the training that I've done to become a kettlebell trainer and instructor, and 550 odd streams that I have on my channel right now, about my journey, about health and fitness, and all of the trainings that I've done. Claus 22, it's good to see you. Thanks for dropping by, saying hi. I'm glad to hear from you. I hope you're doing well. And Mel B, thanks for dropping by, saying hey. Hope you're doing okay. Hope those kettlebells are still paying their dividends for you where you're at in the world. But I didn't get here, by having monthly goals or summer goals, or saying I'm going to go for my beach body and then getting there and then falling off the wagon over the last 2 years and a couple of months. But that was part of the mindset that I had before. I actually, specifically a year and 9 months ago, just set myself a very simple goal. And that goal was to show up every day for 30 minutes and do something. That's the only goal I really have. Because that allows me to every day start again. And I don't want to have a perfect score. So if it's 330 days out of the year, that's good enough for me. I think that's a great number of workouts to have into a year. And I also don't do crazy workouts. And I know there are a lot of different opinions, but different goals, different opinions. Joshua Anderson, thanks for dropping by. See you around, and thanks for the chat, for the conversation. But it allows me every day to start again and say, okay, am I going to do my 30 minutes today? And I have the whole day to do them, and I usually try to get them in first thing in the morning, which is also when I stream my workouts and talk about where I'm at on my health and fitness journey. Why is that important? It's important because it's easier to do something small every day and to build that consistency over time for an extended period of time. It needs to become a part of the routine, the habit, the start of the day, the end of the day, the middle of the day, part of the system that drives my day and my life, because now it's a part of it. Today, again, I woke up at 5 because that is the time that I usually wake up to start working out and doing the things that I need to do. I thought about turning around today and yesterday as well. Yesterday I didn't do a stream or a workout, but I figured, skipping 1 day is fine. Skipping 2 days is a different habit in development. So here we are. Today I'm going to go up on the mountains, a 2-hour hike across, and then I'll probably end the day with a 2.5 hour hike back up and back home on my own when the family is nice and well and on their way home. Jeffrey Kleiweg, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. Hope you're doing well. And I hope life is treating you well where you're at in this world. So taking it day by day is important. I used to have goals that I was working towards the summer, I was working towards the honeymoon, I was working towards the wedding, I was working towards a certain weight. And um, those goals never stuck, because once I reached the wedding, well, then what? Once I reached the honeymoon and I'd been to the beach and looked, well, I'd say relatively fit and healthy for the first 2 days that I was there, and then you start drinking champagne, eating a lot of food, and don't keep up the regime, and then you start to look normal again. Goes really fast. What's the payoff? And this really bugged me for many years. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago, where actually 3 years ago, where we'd gone on and off, right? We'd been through COVID, had 2 kids, and with 2 kids, it was okay, now we're training again, okay, now we're not training again, oh no, we don't have time, oh no, there's this, and now there's that, sleep is interrupted. That with our second, I made a point out of actually having a personal trainer once a week, just so that I would show up to do something once a week to maintain the habit, health and fitness. And boy, that was a wake-up call on how quickly you could lose the health and fitness, the strength and conditioning that you'd built up over time, simply by becoming inactive. And then shortly after that, when the youngest started to sleep through the nights better, we were on holidays in Mallorca. And I woke up one morning feeling very well rested and went to the beach, and I was like, okay, now it starts again. And I actually posted about that. You can find that short in that video on my channel from 2 years and a bit ago. And what happened then is that I had kind of like started to try to do these 7-minute workouts in the morning, and that's all I did. I did 7 minutes, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off 7 times. And that became 14 times, that became 21 times, that became 28 times, that became 30 minutes, and that became hour-long workouts. And I was just doing body weight stuff that I could just do on my own, but I was doing that every other day. Okay, and that at a later point turned into a mobility routine, a kettlebell routine, mobility routine, kettlebell routine, mobility routine, kettlebell routine. And I did that for a while, and I learned about that and learned how to do kettlebells well. And then from there on, I started to take more of an interest on, I started to see things about running, hybrid, zone 2, longevity became a big topic online. And I learned something about the overall balance, about sleep, about nutrition, about working out, about family and connections, and about mastering and learning things. And then piecing all of that together for my own life kind of brought me to where I am today, where every day I know I try to sleep 7 to 9 hours. Every day I try to eat as well as I can, but even also for eating, it's not about a perfect score. We live in the society that we're at. We have the foods available, we have the habits available that we've brought up with, and I like sweet stuff and junk food as much as the next person, all right? But I try to hit that 330 days a year as much as I can, and out of the 21 meals that we do in a week, probably around 17, 18 of those are, very healthy and very well thought out, and taking that day by day by day as well. I try to move every day for 30 minutes, so there are all of these things that have become a part of my day-to-day routine, that help me stay fit and healthy, and that help me reach a certain level of health and fitness, which is not an elite athlete's level fitness, which is not the most muscle or the biggest that I could possibly be, but just a nice general state of health and fitness where my heart works well, where I can challenge myself, where I can hike up mountains for 90 minutes, where I can carry a child on my back for an hour or two if I need to, where I can go for a run 30 to 60 minutes if I want to, where I'm just physically capable and able, where I feel rested every day because I've got a good sleep routine, where I feel well fed and energized every day because I've eaten well, and I am eating the right things most of the time. Building all of those routines takes time. And I think that's the one thing that we forget. We sometimes just want to get fit and healthy now. We want to change everything because we know that there are things that we are doing that aren't working for us, for our health and fitness. But in changing everything, we forget that big changes don't tend to stick. What works better is to make little changes gradually over time and try to make sure that those little changes stick throughout. Good examples are setting a regular wake-up time, having a glass of water before a meal, having something like an apple 30 minutes before a meal, trying to pick 2 or 3 healthy dishes, whether that's a healthier breakfast or a healthier lunch or a healthier dinner, and incorporating those 3 things into the week 3 times, and then turning that into 6 times or 9 times. And the big clock behind me is winding up and is about to start beating and ringing, which is also a sign for me to kind of wrap up and move on with the day. So hey, it's Sunday morning, you know. Those are the things that are on my mind today. It's been a great 4 weeks here, 3.5 weeks in the mountains. Got 1 more week ahead of me, and let's hope that the weather stays this clear and this nice and this beautiful for the rest of the 4 weeks. For those of you who are interested, hit like, subscribe, check out my channel. We can continue on this journey together. I'm going to go do a little bit of work, probably going to go for a 30-minute walk to start off the day with this beautiful sunrise, and then get on with the family. Thanks for dropping by. Take care, and we'll talk soon. And remember, friend, the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. Alright? So I'll probably see you tomorrow. And remember, subscribe.